The rain hit my windshield in steady sheets that Tuesday afternoon, and I sat there in the driver's seat of my old gray Buick, watching my own driveway like a stranger casing a house. My name's Frank Delaney, 58 years old, retired firefighter, and I was about to do something I never imagined I'd do to my own daughter. I'd borrowed a black cap from my neighbor's uniform closet, the kind limo drivers wear. I'd rented a town car for the day, cash only, no name on the paperwork. My daughter Emily didn't know. Her fiancé definitely didn't know. His name was Dean Ashford, 31, smooth voice, expensive watch, a smile that never quite reached his eyes. He said he ran a consulting firm downtown. Emily lit up every time she said his name. Something about him never sat right with me. Call it a father's gut, call it 30 years of reading liars across a rescue scene. I'd learned people show you who they are in the small moments, not the big ones. So when Emily mentioned Dean needed a driver for a business trip that Friday, I saw my chance. I called in a favor with the car service he'd booked through, and I made sure I was the one who showed up. I adjusted the cap in the rearview mirror, hands trembling slightly. I had no idea that by the end of that ride, my entire understanding of my daughter's future would collapse. I pulled up outside Dean's building at exactly 9, just like the dispatch email said. Glass tower, downtown, the kind of place that made ordinary people feel small on purpose. He came out under a black umbrella, phone pressed to his ear, laughing at something. He didn't even glance at my face, just opened the back door and slid in like he'd done it 100 times. "Airport," he said. Not hello, not thank you, just an order. I nodded, kept my head low, cap pulled down. My heart was hammering, but my hands stayed steady on the wheel. Firefighting teaches you that. Panic on the inside, calm on the outside. 3 minutes into the drive, his phone rang again. He answered it this time, quieter, careful. No, she still thinks the wedding is in October. I need more time before she finds out about the loan. My stomach dropped. The loan? What loan? He kept talking, voice low, eyes on the rain-streaked window. I gripped the wheel so hard my knuckles went white. Emily's wedding was in 11 weeks. She'd already put down deposits. She'd already told everyone. I wanted to slam the brakes, turn around, grab him by the collar. Instead, I said nothing. I just drove, my mind screaming, replaying every word. Loan, marriage, community property. Don't call the house. Whose house? Whose loan? I had a feeling I was only hearing the beginning of something much darker. He ended the call and let out a long breath, like a man setting down a heavy bag. Then he pulled out a small leather folder and started flipping through papers right there in the back seat. I watched him in the rearview mirror, careful not to turn my head too much. I caught glimpses, bank letterhead, a name that wasn't Emily's, a number with too many zeros. "Everything okay back there?" I asked, disguising my voice, making it flatter, rougher than my own. "Fine," he said, not looking up. "Work stuff." Right. We hit traffic near the interstate, and for a moment neither of us spoke. Rain drummed on the roof. I watched his reflection in the window, jaw tight, eyes distant. For a second, just a second, he looked less like a confident businessman and more like a man running from something. My phone buzzed in the cup holder, a text from Emily. "Hey Dad, you around today? Feeling kinda nervous about everything. Can we talk tonight?" Nervous? About what? Did some part of her already sense it too? I typed back a quick, "Of course, sweetheart," then set the phone down, my throat tight. Dean's phone rang again. This time, he didn't answer right away. He stared at the screen, exhaled, then hit decline. Persistent creditors, he muttered to himself, thinking I couldn't hear. Creditors, plural. I gripped the wheel tighter. Whatever Dean owed and to whoever he owed it, it was bigger than one loan. And Emily's wedding day was ticking closer like a countdown clock neither of us controlled. We reached the airport terminal, and Dean gathered his things without a word of thanks.
Just before he stepped out, his phone lit up one more time. He glanced at it, and this time his whole face changed. Fear, real fear, not annoyance, not irritation, fear. He answered, voice tight. "I told you I'm handling it. 3 weeks, that's all I need." A pause, then his voice cracked slightly. "Don't call my fiancé, please." My blood cold. He hung up, ran a hand through his hair, and stepped out into the rain without ever looking at my face. I watched him disappear through the sliding doors, dragging a suitcase that probably held more secrets than clothes. I sat there in the parking loop for a long moment, engine idling, rain streaking down the glass like the world was crying with me. 3 weeks, handling it. Don't call my fiancé. Whoever was calling him knew about Emily, knew enough to threaten to reach her directly. That meant this wasn't just a private debt. This was something that could explode into her life without warning. I thought about calling her right then, telling her everything. But what did I actually know? A stranger's leather folder? A stranger's voice on the phone? Suspicion wasn't proof. I needed more. I pulled the rental car back into traffic, cap still low over my eyes, and made a decision that would change everything. I was going to follow him. I circled back, parked across from the departures curb, and waited. 20 minutes later, Dean walked back out. No suitcase, no airport badge. He hadn't been catching a flight at all. He climbed into a cab like nothing happened. My pulse spiked. I followed at a careful distance, the way I'd learned watching cop shows, and honestly, the way I'd learned pulling people out of burning buildings, staying calm while everything inside you screams. The cab wound through downtown, then into an older part of the city I'd barely recognized, peeling paint, boarded windows, a part of town Emily had never once mentioned, and definitely a part of town no successful consultant should ever need to visit. Dean got out in front of a run-down building with a faded sign, Ashford Holdings, same last name. My chest tightened. A woman met him at the door, older, maybe 60, sharp eyes, arms crossed like she'd been waiting there exactly for him. "You're late, Dean. You're late." Loud enough for me to hear from across the street, window cracked despite the rain. "The money's due Friday, Dean. Same day as your little rehearsal dinner, isn't it?" Friday, rehearsal dinner. That was Emily's rehearsal dinner. 11 weeks from now, except suddenly it didn't feel like 11 weeks. It felt like everything was closing in faster than she knew.
Dean's shoulders sagged. "I know when it's due, Mom." Mom. That woman was his mother, and whatever debt he owed apparently ran through his own family. I sat in that car, rain drumming above me, realizing I'd just uncovered a secret far bigger than I'd bargained for. I should have driven away right then. Instead, I lowered my window another inch, heart pounding, straining to hear more. "You promised me this money 8 months ago," Dean's mother said, voice sharp as broken glass. "I put my house up for that loan, Dean. My house. You think I won't lose it because you found yourself a rich girl to marry?" Rich girl. My chest tightened at the words. Emily wasn't rich. Comfortable, maybe. She'd worked hard for everything she had, including the small marketing firm she'd built from nothing. But somewhere in Dean's mind, or maybe in the stories he'd told his mother, Emily had become a solution to a problem. "She's not just a payday, Mom," Dean snapped, and for a second I almost believed him, almost heard something real in his voice. "Then why haven't you told her about any of this?" his mother shot back. "Why haven't you told her about the business closing, about what happened with the last investor?" The last investor. Another thread, another secret. My mind was a tangle of half-answers now, each one pulling a little more rope out from under my daughter's future. Dean rubbed his face with both hands, looking suddenly exhausted, suddenly younger than 31. "I'll fix it before the wedding. I have a plan." "You always have a plan," his mother said, turning to walk back inside.
Just make sure this one doesn't end with both of us in the street." The door shut. Dean stood alone in the rain, and for the first time, I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. I drove home that night with my hands still shaking on the wheel, rain chasing my headlights the whole way. I didn't tell Emily what I'd seen, not yet. I needed to understand what I was dealing with before I put a single crack in her heart. She called that evening, just like she'd texted. Her voice was soft, tired. "Dad, can I ask you something weird?" "Anything, sweetheart." "Do you think Dean's been acting different lately? Distant, like he's somewhere else even when he's sitting right next to me?" I closed my eyes, gripping the phone tighter. "What makes you say that?" "I don't know. He keeps taking calls in the other room, and last week he mentioned his mom's house, then changed the subject so fast I thought I imagined it." There it was. Emily wasn't blind. She was sensing the same cracks I'd just seen with my own eyes. She just didn't have the pieces yet. "Maybe it's wedding stress," I said carefully, hating the lie even as it left my mouth. "Maybe," she said, though she didn't sound convinced. After we hung up, I sat at my kitchen table with a legal pad, writing down everything. Ashford Holdings, the mother, the house used as collateral, a failed business, a mysterious last investor, Friday deadlines that lined up too perfectly with wedding dates. Something about the timing bothered me more than anything else. Dean needed money by Friday. The rehearsal dinner was also Friday, 11 weeks out. 2 deadlines, same day, like 2 trains set to collide. I didn't know which one would derail first, but I intended to find out before either one destroyed my daughter. The next morning, I drove to the address on Ashford Holdings' faded sign, minus the chauffeur cap this time. Just an old retired guy asking questions, which people underestimate more than they should. The front door was locked, blinds drawn, a stack of unopened mail piled against the glass. A neighboring shop owner, a woman running a small bakery next door, watched me from her window. "You looking for the Ashfords?" she asked when I walked over, arms crossed against the morning chill. "Trying to understand some business dealings," I said carefully. She snorted. "Good luck. That company's been on life support for a year. Barbara Ashford put everything into it trying to save her son's investment scheme, real estate flips that never flipped." Investment scheme? Dean, right? Charming boy. Talked half this block into putting money into some property deal 2 years back. Promised big returns. Then the properties never sold. People lost their savings. She shook her head. My cousin lost $11,000. My stomach turned. This wasn't just a private family debt anymore. This was people, real people, neighbors, savings accounts, trust broken on a scale I hadn't imagined. "Is he still doing deals like that?" I asked. She shrugged. "Heard he's got a new one lined up. Something about using a marriage to secure new investors. Guess having a stable, successful fiancé makes a con man look more legitimate." The words hit me like ice water. Using a marriage. Emily wasn't just a payday for Dean's family debts.
She was the bait for his next scheme. I sat in my car outside that bakery for a long time, engine off, hands pressed against my face. The rain from the day before had stopped, but the gray sky still hung low, like the whole city was holding its breath with me. Emily wasn't just marrying a man with debt. She was marrying a man who needed her name, her reputation, her stability, to convince other people to hand over their money. Once they were married, her credit, her business connections, maybe even her savings would all become tools in his next con. I thought about calling her right then, blurting out everything. But I kept hearing Barbara Ashford's voice in my head. "You always have a plan." Dean was smart, smooth. If I came at Emily with wild accusations and no real proof, he could spin it, turn her against me instead, make me look like a jealous, overprotective father trying to sabotage her happiness.
I needed something undeniable, something Emily couldn't rationalize away. I drove straight to my old friend Marcus, a retired detective who now did private consulting work. We'd pulled people out of wrecks together 20 years ago. He still owed me one. I laid it all out. The airport lie, Ashford Holdings, the failed investment scheme, the bakery owner's cousin losing $11,000. Marcus listened, jaw tightening with each detail. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. "Frank," he said, "if even half of this is true, your daughter isn't just marrying a liar. She's marrying a man who could take everything she's built and hand it to strangers with a smile on his face. Can you find proof? Real proof? Documents? Victims willing to talk?" Marcus nodded slowly. "Give me 1 week." 1 week. 4 days before the deadline Dean's mother mentioned. The countdown had officially started. 6 days later, Marcus called me at midnight, his voice tight with urgency. "Frank, you need to come to my office now." I drove through empty streets, heart hammering, and found him surrounded by folders under a single desk lamp. He slid a stack toward me. Dean Ashford ran 3 investment schemes in the last 4 years, 2 of them under different company names, property flips that never existed. He used investor money to pay off previous investors, then vanished when things got tight. Classic pattern. My hands trembled, flipping through pages of victim statements. Retirees, young couples, people who'd trusted Dean's charm and lost everything. But here's what you really need to see. Marcus pulled out one more document. Dean's already opened a joint investment account 2 weeks ago, under both his name and Emily's. My blood ran cold. She doesn't know. She signed something, Marcus said gently. Probably thought it was wedding-related. Joint checking, joint savings, something normal. He buried the investment authorization inside the paperwork. Emily had unknowingly signed her name onto a financial vehicle Dean could use to pull new victims in, using her real business credentials as legitimacy. There's a meeting scheduled 3 days from now. Dean's pitching new investors, 12 people, life savings on the line, and Emily's name is on the promotional materials as a business partner.
3 days. I stared at the paper with Emily's signature on it, feeling something inside me shift from fear into something harder, sharper. It was time to stop watching from a distance. It was time to protect my daughter, whatever it cost me. I called Emily the next morning and asked her to meet me for lunch. No explanations, just please come alone. She showed up at our usual diner, looking tired, dark circles under her eyes, twisting her engagement ring around and around like a nervous habit she couldn't stop. "Dad, you're scaring me a little," she said, sliding into the booth. "What's going on?" I slid the folder across the table instead of answering right away. I watched her face as she opened it, watched the color drain slowly, page by page. "This isn't real," she whispered, staring at victim statements with names she recognized from Dean's own stories, people he'd described as old family friends who'd simply invested in his early ventures. "Emily, sweetheart, I need you to look at the signature page." She flipped to it, and her hands started shaking. "This is my signature, but I never authorized an investment account. I thought this was just—" She stopped, pressing her palm against her mouth. "He buried it inside the wedding finance paperwork," I said gently. "There's a meeting in 2 days. Your name is on the investor materials. People are about to hand over their savings, believing you're personally involved." Tears spilled down her cheeks, but her jaw tightened with something else, something I recognized immediately because I'd raised her to have it. Anger. "How do you know all this?" she asked quietly. I took a breath. I pretended to be his driver last week. I heard things I wasn't supposed to hear. She stared at me,
Shock and understanding crashing across her face. Her father, playing chauffeur, uncovering the truth no one else had the courage to face. "Dad," she said, jaw trembling, "what do we do now?" I reached across the table and took her hand. "Now," I said, "we make sure he never gets the chance to hurt anyone again." 2 days later, Emily walked into that investment meeting on Dean's arm, smiling like nothing was wrong. I sat in the back row, an old family friend nobody questioned. Marcus stood near the exit with 2 detectives from financial crimes, badges tucked out of sight until the right moment. Dean stood at the front, painting his picture. "New properties, guaranteed returns. My fiancée Emily can vouch for the stability of this partnership," he said, gesturing toward her with that same smile that once fooled all of us. "Actually," Emily said, holding her steady despite the tremor I could see in her hands, "I didn't authorize this account. I didn't know about the previous investors who lost their savings. I didn't know about Ashford Holdings or the loans against his mother's house or the fact that I was being used to make this look legitimate." Gasps rippled through the room. Dean's face went pale, his mouth opening with no words coming out. "But these people deserve to know the truth," Emily continued, nodding toward Marcus and the detectives now stepping forward, "before they lose everything the way your last investors did." Dean was arrested that afternoon. The wedding, of course, never happened. Weeks later, Emily sat across from me at that same diner booth, stronger, steadier, the fear replaced by something like quiet peace. "Thank you, Dad," she said, "for putting on that ridiculous chauffeur cap." I laughed, reaching for her hand. "I'd wear it every single day if it meant protecting you." She smiled, really smiled, for the first time in weeks. Some fathers protect their children with words. I learned that sometimes love means driving in silence, listening in the shadows, and having the courage to uncover the truth before it's too late.